As I said, my name is Joanne Jensen, and I am the Rapid Response Coordinator for the Northwest Workforce Council, which works here in the Northwest to bring together the partnership known as WorkSource. So all of that doesn't matter too much, but is interesting background information for folks to have. Before we dive into our program, I did want to recognize that being laid off is very painful. It can be very difficult to get over some of the shock, the surprise, the fear that goes along with a big change like a layoff, and start to look for a new job. And so the objective of today's session, our goal, is to introduce you to the WorkSource partnership and the various programs and services that we have in place here to help you work through the challenge and get back to work as quickly as possible. So that's our objective. Our agenda is pretty straightforward. We'll talk a little bit about what WorkSource is and then dive into the dislocated worker program. After that, we'll talk about worker retraining and how that helps the community and technical colleges support workers through the various training programs that are available. We'll spend some time talking about health insurance options, learn about the Trade Act and what the status of the application is for that. We'll talk about some other community resources that are available to support throughout the period of unemployment. And last but not least, talk about unemployment insurance benefits and how do we continue income during this period. So diving in, what is WorkSource? WorkSource is a partnership of state and local organizations whose mission is to develop and support a strong workforce. To do that, we work with both employers and employees, and we provide employment and training solutions at no cost. It's important to know that while we work very closely with the Unemployment Insurance Division of the Employment Security Department of the Washington State government, we are not unemployment insurance. We don't enter claims. We cannot adjudicate claims or help you with that. But because we work so closely with them for a long time, we do know a little bit about how to set up a claim successfully and how to ask the right questions and provide the right answers. So just want to make that clear up front. Excuse me. WorkSource, in addition to being a partnership of agencies and organizations, is also a place. And it's a one-stop employment
downtown
center.
Bellingham.
Yes, actually we have many more locations than just Bellingham, but it's a one-stop center where you can get access to computers, copiers, phone, faxes, Wi-Fi, and most importantly, people. And those people can help advise you every step of the way in job search and also, more importantly, career planning. So offices are located across the state. We do have a priority of service for veterans and their eligible spouses. When we're not on a lockdown order, we do provide on-site job search workshops, job fairs, and other events. And during this period especially, we have added many virtual classes. So you can go online and go to events and learn some of the same stuff as you would learn here in our center. The 3 locations are closed now, but staff are still working here. We're supporting customers by phone, email, teleconference, and the centers will reopen as soon as the stay-at-home order is ended. So we're making preparations for that now, changing the layout of our center and adding some equipment and disinfection capabilities so that everyone will be safe when we do reopen. 21. All right. So that's where our centers can be located after the stay-at-home order is lifted. In the meantime, the best place to get information and access to the different events that are being given online is through the website WorkSourceWA.com, or as we call it, WorkSourceWA.com. It's not really easy to say, but it's a free career planning and job search website. Excuse me, and you can find information there about the labor market.
Lisa, I'm in school. Can you make me a cup of tea?
Okay, I'm going to try muting. There we go. And excuse me, you can browse a schedule of the classes and events that are offered, and there's a real range. And there are also events offered in both Spanish and English, so it's a great place to go. In addition to being a place where you can learn, you can also use it functionally to support your job search by storing your resume, cover letters, documents such as various credentials or recommendations, and really manage all aspects of your job search. Of course, you can also search and apply for jobs on the website, and there are quite a few available even during these uncertain times. So that's a little bit about WorkSource WA and WorkSource, the centers. Next, we're going to dive into our dislocated worker program. And to introduce us to some of the basics about that, we have Christine Haroldson. Christine, you want to introduce yourself and go through these slides?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Haroldson. I am a coordinator with WorkSource, and I work out of the Mount Vernon office. And I just really quickly, before I dive into the program, I just want to say for those of you who just joined, if you have a question that you would like to communicate to us, if you if you're on a laptop computer or a PC, if you kind of look down at the bottom of your screen, you can see that there's an option. There's participants, Q&A, and chat. And in both the Q&A and chat feature, that's where you can type up your questions and give them to us. If you click on the participants tab, you should get an option to raise your hand, and that is sort of a virtual hand raising, saying that you have something you'd like to say or you have a question that you would like to ask. So those are kind of the basics on how you can say your piece while we're doing this webinar. So dislocated workers. So the first question you might be asking is, what is a dislocated worker? And a dislocated worker is somebody like you who has lost their job through no fault of their own, such as through a substantial layoff. And at WorkSource, we have a program called our Dislocated Worker Program that supports people through this major life transition. And our Dislocated Worker Program is sort of considered our gateway program to all the other programs and services. And what we do when we enroll you in our program is we work with you to identify any programs or resources or anything of the like that can help you through the transition. And in order to enroll in our program, you have to fill out what's called an enrollment packet. And we have these enrollment packets. We'll be dropping them off with your HR office. So you can go there, fill these packets out, leave them with your HR office, and then we will come and get them. And once we have your information, we'll be contacting you in about 4 business days. And that first conversation will mostly be about what your employment goals are, what skills you have, what you would like to do moving forward, what your work history is, and things like that. And can I get the next slide, please? Great, thank you. So what can you expect when you work with us at WorkSource? Well, mostly you'd be working one-on-one with a coordinator such as myself, and we operate as sort of a career coach. And what we do is we give you guidance and information and other resources so that you can make informed decisions about your career change or your job search. Another thing that we do is we find the resources to fill any skill gaps that you may have. And what I mean by skill gaps is, for example, if you've been working with ALCOA for a long time, say 10 to 20 years, and you've gained a lot of skills as a result of that, you get laid off, let's say you go into the market, and all the positions that you would normally be qualified for may now require some kind of certificate or degree. So what we can do is we can help you identify resources to pay for those certificates or degrees so that you become fully qualified for the position that you're looking for. Additionally, we can help you with any kind of job search related needs that includes resume, interviews, things like that. But the other thing is that technology has drastically changed the way that we do job search today. That was true before the pandemic, and it's even more true now. Almost everything is done online. However, that's not something that you have to figure out alone. That's something that we can figure out with you. And so what we do is we tell you how to look for jobs, where to look for jobs, how to read job descriptions to make sure that your skills match the description of the job, and things like that, information that you may not normally get elsewhere. And so we are supposed to kind of know that insider information, and we will be with you every step of the way in terms of finding your next career or retraining for a new one. Additionally, we can provide any out-of-area job search. So if you are looking for jobs outside of the area, we might be able to help you with that. Sorry, I didn't ask for the next slide. And if you have a bona fide job offer outside of the area, we might even be able to help you financially with relocation assistance. And finally, if you have a spouse at home who is relying on your wages and does what we call unpaid work, such as taking care of the children, the household, budgeting, things like that, they're also eligible for our Dislocated Worker Program, because when you lose your wages, they lose their wages too if they're depending on your wages, which means not only are they eligible, but they also are able to receive the vast services that we offer somebody who has also been laid off from work. So if you're interested in that, I definitely recommend filling out the enrollment packets as soon as possible to prevent any delay in services. You are allowed to still be working. You can start that process ASAP. So, and if you do have any more detailed questions, I would say that the best thing to do is to fill out that packet, get that information, and then once you get connected with a coordinator, you can tell them your story and we can figure out what your next steps are. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Michael, who's going to talk about insurance stuff.
We were on worker retraining next, sorry.
Sorry.
We were so close with our handoff. And today to present information about the worker retraining program is Corey Olson, who is, well, you can introduce yourself, Corey. You'll
Wonderful.
do a better job.
Thank you. My name is Corey Olson. I work at Bellingham Technical College, but I'm here today representing all 34 Washington State community and technical colleges that have a program called Worker Retraining. And Worker Retraining is a program that provides bridge funding to help you get started if you're interested in education and training. I will say that when we meet face-to-face, I typically have two of my local provider colleagues here with me, so I'd like to just give you a name so you know who they are. Brian Davidson with Whatcom Community College and Lisa Barnett with Skagit Valley College. And within this slide deck, there will be information on how you can contact any one of us. The colleges have a number of different programs and opportunities that are available. The good news for you is that you're likely eligible for some funding opportunities based on the eligibility criteria that A, you have experienced a layoff, or many of you have spouses or partners that have been home, you've been the main wage earner, and if they are now separated from income, they too would qualify for the services that I'm going to cover today. Go ahead and can you hit the next slide, Emery? The programs that we have range widely. We have basic skills, we have high school and GED, English as a second language, we have associate's degrees and associate transfer, shorter term certificates, and now the community and technical colleges are actually offering bachelor's degree. What is unique and wonderful about our programs is that we have advisories that are led by local industry leaders and business partners that actually drive our curriculum. So our curriculum is built based on the needs of what is happening in the labor market, and we design it that way to get you into jobs that are considered in demand. And when I say in demand, that means that there's a lot of opportunities out there in those particular positions, and then high wages. We offer several different ways of delivering content. We do it online, remotely. We do hands-on training, and we sometimes do a hybrid, which is a combination of the two. With the stay and shelter in place order, we have moved classes online, and we are looking at phasing those back into physical location, probably this fall quarter. Right now, if you're interested in education, it's perfect. Summer quarter starts July 8th, and then fall quarter starts September 26th. So if you are interested in this as an opportunity, I would encourage you to start researching now. There's a few steps that you would need to take, looking at signing up for financial aid, some of the other scholarship opportunities we have. Really what I'm here today is to be a name and a face and say hello and welcome you to contact us so that we could help you through those processes. Let's see, I just want to take a look really quick. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what do our programs offer? Several things. What you could expect if you call Brian or Lisa or myself is we just like WorkSource, we too would love to sit down with you and hear your story. We can help you identify what your transferable skills are and what the right alignment might be for you. For some people, it might be a short-term certificate. For some people, it might be looking at longer-term education, but we can help you with that. We are going to be a resource for piecing together all of the funding that goes along with it. There's federal financial aid. Oftentimes people are surprised by how much they can get in free Pell Grant that comes from the federal side. Worker retraining typically pays for your first quarter of tuition and books to help you get started. We work wonderfully with the WorkSource staff on some of their long-term scholarship opportunities. And I believe Bill is going to talk about the potential for Trade Act, and we would be assisting you with that. There's also some processes that you would do to receive unemployment while you go to school. And in some cases, you can get additional unemployment benefits to help support you along the way. We would be your contact for that, and we would help you with the paperwork to let Employment Security know that that's your intent. If you are thinking about going to school, I would encourage you to reach out to us before you open your unemployment claim. There's a specific way that you want to fill out that paperwork to let Employment Security know that that's your plan, and we can help you with that. Along with that, we can also help you with budgeting. And we know that budgeting is not just taking in your personal budget into consideration, but your family's budget too. And then connecting you with other community resources and additional benefits. And just like WorkSource alongside one another, we can also give your resume a review and help you with that transition into employment when you finish one of the education and training. Next slide. So here is our contact information. You will have this information made available to you. I encourage you to reach out to any one of us. There is no wrong door. You may come and talk to me, and in Whatcom Community College is a better opportunity. We can get you there. If you may go talk to Skagit, and BTC may be a better opportunity. We all work really well together. We can also help you just on a sidebar. You may be interested in a program at, say, Clover Park College that is an online program. We can help you get connected there too. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to give it back to Joanne, unless there's questions.
So before we go to our next area of the presentation, we answered that question offline. So yeah, as people are listening to all this information, it can become a little overwhelming. And I wanted to let you know that we will be sending the slide deck with all this information, and especially the phone numbers and email addresses, to you following the close of the program. So later today, you'll get an email at the address that you used to register for attendance of the webinar. We will send the slide deck to that location. Also, your HR department will have packets of information that have handouts on applying for unemployment, additional information about community resources that are available, as well as information about each of the local community and technical colleges. So there are both electronic and hard copy pieces of information that you can pick up to help you as you plan and go through this process. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can go ahead and move forward to speaking about insurance, which is a complex and very important topic. So Michael, take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. So looking at this slide, I know there's a ton of information coming at you, and I'm glad to hear you're going to get a copy of the slide deck. But I think, you know, if jot down the links here, the WA Health Plan Finder link on the current slide, I think it's a great place to even start doing some homework. But let's quickly talk about COBRA. COBRA is an employee right under the federal law. It is a right to continue on the employer health coverage for currently covered employees and dependents. The cost is usually 100% of the coverage cost the employer is incurring with, and so the point would be there would be no longer an employer contribution. It can be expensive, but sometimes it's a good option. So I think the takeaway on that is you'll want to probably talk to someone to see what makes the most sense to you as you look at your options. Your employer will provide more details on the subject under the required election notices that will be provided to you. Typically, you have a 60-day window to make your COBRA election. It's important to note coverage will be continuous even if you wait 60 days to make that election. And again, I think the big thing that I like to emphasize when as we go through this is that there are many considerations in looking at all your options, and seeking some professional advice may be of value, and we'll highlight some of those things, those resources shortly. The Washington Health Plan Finder, the link noted here, wahealthplanfinder.org, is an online website where customers can apply for qualified health plans and Washington Apple Health, which is Medicaid. Please note again this link, because there's some links out there that are close, that are false links, and we want to make sure you get to the right system to do your shopping and comparisons. You can go here today and enter your data and have the system determine eligibility without formally enrolling, and which obviously would allow you to make some more educated decisions in your decision process. Assuming you do not elect COBRA, you will need to report the current loss of your employer coverage. It's noted in the system as a loss of minimum essential coverage within 60 days of when your employer coverage ends. So the key here, it's not your separation of employment that is deemed what we call a special enrollment period. It is the loss of your employer-sponsored coverage. And lastly on this slide, Medicare may be available for those over 65. And in regards to this, it's not a service provided through the Washington Health Plan Finder. So you may want to reach out to an insurance professional to help you explore the Medicare market. Next slide, please. So an individual can apply for themselves by using the link that was provided on the prior slide. Or contact one of the resources noted on this page. So on the left side, you have the ability to reach out to a local insurance broker. We have a sponsored kind of we've engaged some insurance producers in different regions, and in Bellingham is Rice Insurance. You can see their number and their physical address noted here. They are licensed under the state and regulated by the state, and they can assist you in completing an application and even making plan selection or choices. And they can even do a compare and contrast in regards to your COBRA option as well. Navigator support. Navigators are trained and certified by the exchange. And they can, their primary role is to help you facilitate or complete an enrollment form. But technically, they should not be assisting selecting plans as they're not licensed. And lastly, we do have what we call I call it the call center, the customer support center, noted here by an 800 number. Their primary role is not to advise on plans, but to help you complete an application to get to an eligibility state. We do want to call out with this time, it's relatively busy with the Corona situation, and therefore there may be a hold time when you reach out to the call center. A couple other additional considerations before, if there's any additional questions. For Medicaid coverage, you may be eligible for a premium tax credit when applying through the Washington Health Plan Finder. A premium tax credit reduces your out-of-pocket premium costs. The tax credits can be used when you make your premium payment. This help is also known as Health Insurance Premium Tax Credits, HIPTC, or Advanced Premium Tax Credits, APTC. Some considerations or how that's arrived at: the system will look at one's income and tax filing status to determine one's eligibility. They're only available through the Washington Health Plan Finder, and it's a federal program, but they're made available only through the Washington Health Plan Finder. You would not be able to access advanced premium tax credits if you're trying to purchase coverage directly from an insurance carrier. And were there any questions?
So health is such a complicated topic, Michael, that I just want to sort of play back some of what you said to make sure that we got it.
Okay.
And COBRA is continuation of the benefits that are offered by the employer, in this case, INTALCO. And the best place for information about the costs of that program are provided by the employer. So INTALCO's person that does COBRA would send out information so that people understand what the cost would be for that plan.
Absolutely.
The other primary options that are available for people are either to purchase their own coverage or to qualify for coverage through Apple Health in Washington. And that you find out by going to the Health Benefit Exchange, which is wahealthfinders.org, right?
Correct. wahealthplanfinder.org is an entry point to both what we call qualified health plans, which is individual coverage, as well as an entry point into Washington Apple Health Medicaid.
Right. And in one of the earlier sessions, I thought a smart question was asked, so I'll repeat it here. And that is, someone asked if they had already paid the deductible from their plan, and now we're going to buy a plan they paid the deductible from their INTALCO health insurance, and now they had decided to purchase health insurance through the exchange. Would that carry over, or would they have to start again and pay off the deductible for the plan?
It's a really great question that consumers need to be aware of. So assuming the employer plan runs on a calendar year, that if they dropped their employer plan and came over to the exchange, their deductibles and out-of-pockets would start over. And so you definitely, if you've met your deductible and out-of-pocket under your current plan, you would want to definitely put a value, factor that in as a potential cost if you moved.
Yeah, so it's pretty complicated. And Karen submitted a question. She said that in working with a consultant around insurance, one of the things that they asked was an estimate of what the income would be for this year, which of course is dependent on what unemployment insurance benefits are paid. And the only way to find that out is to work, unfortunately, or fortunately, to work with the Unemployment Claims Center. They can help you to understand what your benefit would be when you apply. They've been so busy that what's a normal service for them may not be possible, but we can kind of hold that question until Linda Collins, our presenter from UI today, is speaking to the group, and then she can tell us what the current situation is. But we've got a note of that question, Karen, so we'll hit it when we get there.
And can I add to that real quick?
Certainly.
So if in working with, whether it's a navigator or the broker in this situation, if you how do I put this? You know what you've earned year to date. So the system works in two unique ways, and I don't want to complicate it here, but for Washington Health Medicaid, it'll look at what is your current monthly. So if you're in a window between, say, your severance or the separation, and then having unemployment kick in, literally you might be zero for a little bit of time, which could put you into a Washington Apple Health product as a gap there. And then you could go in and actually report when you get your unemployment information, you can go and report that change and move into what we'd call a qualified health plan. But a navigator or insurance producer should be able to help you understand that in more detail.
Okay, and I see some more questions coming, so let me look at those. Right, I understand. The question is that currently employees are trying to evaluate whether to accept the voluntary quit package that's being offered by ALCOA or not to accept it and go on a layoff, and the outcomes of those two things are different. And so it is a difficult decision to make, and you really do have to sort of figure out things in both scenarios, and there's a lack of information. So we're trying to work with the UI policy group to get an answer to the question of whether people who accept the voluntary quit package offered by ALCOA will still be eligible for unemployment insurance. And as soon as we have that information, we will share it with the union representatives and also ALCOA to be pushed out to all employees. But at the current time, we do not have a determination. So that's not helpful, but that's where we are with that. Okay. Are there any other questions about insurance coverage for Michael today before we move on? Okay. Thank you for all those great questions. I really appreciate it. So next up in our presentation is Bill Messenger. Bill, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Trade Act?
Sure. And just FYI, I also have an inquiry into the policy unit. Earlier today, I was asked by Alex to query and see if I could get them to expedite a decision. They're supposed to get back to us either today or tomorrow, last I heard. Okay, so I'm Bill Messenger, the Washington State Labor Council. When people hear me say that, they oftentimes think I work for the state. I do not work for the state. I work for the umbrella organization that has most of the unions in the state of Washington. My role at the Labor Council, however, I contract with Employment Security to be a worker advocate. So I'm part of your support system. Along with all these other speakers here, we all put our resources together and try to make the transition as well as it can go, considering you just lost your job. It's a tough thing to lose your job. I know. I worked for a company called Weyerhaeuser for about 33 years. And one day my mill manager came into me and said, we're going to close this plant. So I went through a lot of what you're going through right during the middle of the Great Recession. And I'm here to tell you that most of the people that did well in that layoff, they made use of this system in one way, shape, or form. The workshops, the first place most people should stop should be the one stop at the WorkSource. And it will open up. It will open up fairly quickly, I imagine. Right now, there's a lot of resources online. So in my experience in layoff, I have found that one of the most important things you should consider is training. I like to call it skills upgrade because I believe most people are working on their resources that they already possess, skills they already possess. And what they're doing is just going back to school to try and get some sort of license or degree to say what everybody already knows, that they can already do this job. But I got to say that even the Department of Labor back in DC is saying it's all about lifelong learning. It is definitely, the days are gone to where you're going to work in a place from 18-year-old till retirement. Most people are going to have several jobs in their lifetime. And when you get the chance to get some sort of free assistance for school, you should take it. You should always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And if your plan A is to look for work, that's great. But what's wrong with talking to the community college system to see if there's anything there that piques your interest? I think you should move on parallel paths, looking for work, and then looking into what might pique your interest in the school system. The community college people, they have a pot of money. Dislocated workers have a pot of money. But I'm going to talk to you today about trade adjustment assistance. I want to stress that even though we filed for trade adjustment assistance, it's never a sure thing. The Department of Labor back in DC makes that decision. We make our case out here in Washington, send it back to them, and we talk about things like foreign competition. And we really believe that that Ferndale was affected by foreign competition. So we made our case, sent it back there, and hopefully they'll certify it. If they do certify it, I'm just going to give you the 10,000-foot level on what may be available to you if you enroll in the Trade Act program. We've already talked about pots of money for schooling, but if we can get trade adjustment assistance, it could give you up to 2 to 2.5 years of retraining or skills upgrade. And and all the while receiving some kind of weekly income like unemployment insurance. After you run out of unemployment insurance, there's a program called Trade Readjustment Allowance, which takes over for unemployment insurance. And it's the same amount, it just comes from a different source. Another thing I want to talk about that trade adjustment assistance could bring to the table is job search help. Let's say, for example, you were offered an interview in Dallas, Texas for a new job. Trade Act would fly you down there, pay you per diem, put you up overnight in accommodations and feed you and fly you back for a legitimate interview. Let's say you got that job. Let's say you got that job in Dallas, Texas and decided to take it, a legitimate job offer. Trade adjustment assistance would move you and your family down there. So that's a pretty good deal. So you have relocation as part of trade adjustment assistance. Another portion of it that I want to talk to you about is health coverage tax credit. If you enroll in trade adjustment assistance and you have an approved program, HCTC, which is administered through the IRS, will pay 72.5% of your premiums while you're in that program. And it will pay you either at the end of each month when you're billed or at the end of the year on your tax returns. The last program I want to talk about is RTAA, which is Reemployment Trade Adjustment Assistance. I used to call it the Older Worker Wage Subsidy because you have to be 50 years old to apply for it. But if you are 50 and your new job pays you less than $50,000 a year, there's a program in Trade Act that will make up half of your loss. To make math simple, you made $20 an hour before, you're making $10 an hour now. Trade Act would reimburse you $5 an hour for your loss for up to $10,000 or 2 years, whichever comes first. Now you can see that might go real, you might eat that up real quick if there's a big difference like that in it. But anyway, we submitted a petition. It usually takes about 60 days for the DOL to make a decision, but I've seen it take much longer. So as soon as we hear if it's been certification and is a state law to notify you in mail that you may be eligible for trade adjustment assistance. Another service, can I answer any questions about trade adjustment assistance before I move on to the final portion of what I'm going to say? All right, well, see none. I want to tell you that one of the services we offer are talking people off the ledge. Sometimes we can be of help in troubleshooting unemployment insurance programs. We help folks maximize all three of these programs and give them advice on how to do that. Sometimes we're just a shoulder to cry on, and sometimes you may need that. I tell you, there are inherent pushbacks in these programs because they are government programs and a lot of paperwork to fill out, but they are well worth it. And sometimes what I want to offer you is the ability to call us and see if we can't help you zone in on what the real issue is. So before you're ready to call it quits and just move on to that job that might not be suitable for you, give us a chance to talk it out. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to speak to you today, and I want to wish you the best of luck, and I'm here to answer any other questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Bill's contact information is given in the slide, and as we previously mentioned, we will send out this deck, so you can make note of it now, or you can wait until you receive the slides. Okay. So next up, I'd like to invite Amy Nightingale to talk a little bit about some of the other resources that are available to help besides income replacement and worker retraining.
Thanks, Joanne. Hope you can all hear me okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Amy Nightingale with the Department of Social and Health Services. I'm located at the Bellingham Community Services Office. During these COVID times, our lobby or in-person services, they're currently closed statewide. However, we are open and available online and by the phone for questions, changes, or to apply for services while we wait for our lobbies to reopen. Our Washington Connection website, which is listed here, offers a fast and easy way for families and individuals to apply for a variety of services such as food, cash, child care, long-term care, and even Medicare savings programs. Also, individuals that are age 65 or older, blind or disabled, could also apply for medical assistance. To access our services, you may apply online at the WashingtonConnection.org site, or you can even give us a call at 1-877-501-2233. And you can do this call here to apply over the phone, and we can even do a telephonic signature without an application. Now, if you do submit an application online, an interview is still going to be required, and you'd be able to do that by calling our contact center phone number to complete that interview over the phone. Another option is that you can complete your interview. Another option to complete your interview is to apply online, actually do that application, which is going to lock in your date of request. And then at that point, you can call to request what's called a future callback interview for a date and time within 2 days. And if that works better, if it works better for us to call you at a specific time during your schedule, this is a great option, and we can do our best to call you as close to that scheduled time that you decide on as possible. Just give us, plus or minus 5 minutes or so. Our contact center is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., although we do stop taking new intake interview calls at 3 p.m. But as long as you call us prior to 3 p.m., we'll still be able to conduct that interview with you. Now, if you have any questions or if you're having any difficulty with our processes, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. You can reach me at area code 360-812-6539, or you can email me at my email address listed there. If you give me a call, just know, please leave a message. I can't accept direct phone calls right now as I am temporarily working from home, but I do have access to my voicemail and the capability to return your call. I want to do everything I can to help mitigate our application process with you. And in closing, I just want to wish all of you the best during these difficult times, and I will turn it back over to Joanne.
Thanks, Amy. I wanted to emphasize that as you're planning for a transition of employment, often what you think going in is not what you find when you're experiencing it. And after a certain period of time, the picture really changes. I myself have experienced several periods of long unemployment because of company closures. And at one point, I was out of work for 10 months. And the plans that I made when the job ended were good plans based on the information that I had available to me then. But 6 months later, the situation looked pretty different, and I needed to make some different decisions. And so hold on to the information packets that you're getting now, and make note of these contacts, because even if you don't need them now, you may later. And as things change, we want you to have access to the people that can help you to understand and get a little distance from your situation, and then make a very practical recommendation for ways to help, people to talk to, things to try. So that's, Amy is a great resource. Her programs are wonderful and help a lot of people. So keep her name written down. It's an important one. So the next thing we're going to dive into is a discussion of unemployment insurance benefits. And we have Linda Collins on the line, hopefully, to discuss this.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so unemployment insurance benefits. There are a financial assistance that's provided to you for a temporary amount of time. And the benefits are designed to assist you while you're in between jobs. You should know that unemployment benefits are 100% funded by your employer through payroll taxes. That means that you don't pay anything into it. It is all funded by the employer. Now, although the slide is showing you the normal eligibility requirements, since COVID-19 has been ushered in, the governor has altered some of the eligibility requirements. So no longer is it that you would have to have the 680 hours within your base year. What is a base year? A base year is how we determine what your weekly benefit amount is going to be at the time that you submit an application. So for instance, if you were to apply between now and June 30th, we're going to be looking at the time that you work from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. And that would determine what your weekly benefit amount would be. Normally, we'd be looking to see if you had an accumulative of 680 hours within that time span, but that no longer is the case. You don't have to have the 680 hours. The other caveat to applying for the unemployment benefits is that you have to have been laid off or out of work through no fault of your own. So for many of you, you're going to put down as the reason as to why you're not working for the employer as laid off. And I am going to address the voluntary quit option, as I did receive an email from my supervisor as the presentation was going on. And the other thing that's very important is that you must be physically able and available in order to receive unemployment benefits. Now, that to some people, now that COVID has been ushered in, has a different meaning. If you are symptomatic and you've been asked to shelter in place for 14 days, doesn't mean that you're not physically able and available. However, if you are hospitalized because of COVID or some other reason, then you're not physically able and available, and you should not submit a weekly claim for that week. So now we understand what unemployment insurance benefits are designed to do. Let's go to the next slide, please. So as I've already stated, it is a temporary financial assistance funded by employers through employer taxes. And normally, before COVID, you still have a limited amount of time that you can receive it. Once you apply for unemployment benefits, your claim is good for 1 year. Within that 1 year, under normal circumstances, you were able to receive up to 26 weeks of unemployment benefits. And now with COVID-19 having been ushered in, there's an additional 13 weeks that can be added, giving you a total of 39 possible weeks to receive payment. And we're not even going to talk about if your claim is denied, because none of you are going to have a denial on your claim. But if you do receive a denial letter, there is, you do have the right to appeal. So nothing is final until you've exhausted all efforts and steps to get your unemployment benefits. Once you have applied for unemployment benefits, what you're going to do, the first day that you're not working is when you will apply for unemployment benefits. And our week always begins on a Sunday and ends on Saturday. That means that that's after the week has ended on Saturday, you're going to either go online or call our automated system, and you're going to answer the 11 or 12 questions regarding the week that has just ended. You cannot receive payment if you're not submitting weekly claims, and we'll go into more of that as we go through the slides. The unemployment benefits are a taxable income. At the time of application, you are asked if you want us to withhold 10% of your weekly benefit amount and send it to the IRS on your behalf. Even if you check yes, and as you start receiving your benefits, you realize that you need all of your money, you have the option of changing your yes to a no. And the same thing if you choose no and you decide that you should be having those taxes withheld. You can change it at any time during the life of your claim. We cannot go back and give you credit for weeks that you received the full payment or where money has already been sent to the IRS, but we can start or stop the 10% from being withheld at any time. Now, when you're applying for your unemployment benefits, whether you're talking on the phone to an agent like myself, or if you are online using your Secure Access Washington site, you're going to need to know how your employer has reported your your benefits to the state of Washington. You may know them as ALCOA or INTALCO, but you'll need to ask your HR person what name are the wages being reported to Washington State under, because that's the name that's going to populate when you're applying. You're also going to need to know the month, the day, and the year that you began working for the company. And you'll need to know the month, the day, and the year that your feet were last on premises for the company. When you are applying, you also are going to be asked what your either hourly, weekly, monthly, or annual salary is, and the number of hours that you were hired to work for the company. You're also going to be asked the question if you have applied for or if you're receiving retirement pay. So you want to look at that question real closely. For some reason, a number of people who have been applying lately have been answering yes to that question. If you have not applied to receive your retirement pay or pension pay, you would answer that question no. If you have, you would answer it yes, and then we're going to send you out a questionnaire. If you get the questionnaire, whether you made an error in answering yes or whether you have actually requested to have your pension payment sent to you, you need to complete that document and get it back in to prevent your claim from being automatically denied for failure to respond to the information that we've sent to you. Now, there's one of two ways, that, as I said earlier, that you can apply. If you get your license tabs online, or if you get your hunting or fishing tabs online, you already have a Secure Access Washington site set up. You just need to go to that same site and click on Employment Benefits, and then the application will appear to you. I ask that you give your undivided attention when you're filling out the application, that you make sure that you're answering the questions correctly. We've had a number of people that have not received benefits because they said they weren't U.S. citizens. If you are a U.S. citizen, you want to be careful to answer yes to that question. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you'll need to have documentation that proves that you were legally entitled to work in the United States within the last 24 months. That information you will have to enter in. If you have a Washington State driver's license, you'll need to enter in your current driver's license number. You don't want to just pull out an expired license and start entering in the information from that, because it could cost you dearly later. You've got to enter all of your current information into the system. So whether you're doing it online in the comfort of your own home, or whether you're speaking on the phone to an agent, these are documents and information that you will need to have, and you'll need to be able to provide it accurately to us so that we can successfully set up your claim. Now, you can go to www.esd.wa.gov and select unemployment if you've never gotten your tabs or hunting license online. And you can set up your Secure Access Washington site. And there is a checklist, and it will walk you through the process as to how you can do it. You can also go to YouTube and look at the video that talks to you. It's an excellent video, by the way, that walks you through step-by-step process on how to set up your Secure Access Washington site. I highly recommend that. And if you don't want to deal with the computer and you don't mind employing a little bit of patience, you can always call us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. 1-800-318-6022. Now that 7 a.m. has been employed during the COVID process, so that could change. We could revert back to only accepting calls from 8 to 4 p.m. Also, if you're unable to get through, we do have a callback feature. So you would enter in the time that you want to be called back, and you have to make sure that you're there when we call you back, because we can only make that call once. If we call you back at the time that you and date that you have designated and you don't answer, we cannot call you again. You would have to go through the process all over again and wait for a call back again. Next slide. So, as I stated in the beginning, our week always begins on a Sunday, and I'm going to use this week as an example. This week started Sunday, May 17th, and it's going to end Saturday midnight, May 23rd. But the week won't be considered over with on Saturday until the clock has struck 1 minute after midnight. Then it becomes Sunday again. So on Sunday, May 24th, that's when you would either go online and answer the 11 to 12 questions that will be presented. And if you're going to go online to answer those questions, you want to look on your home page. Under the little blue flag, it's going to say you have a weekly claim to file. And then right down to the left of that, you're going to see the week, you're going to see the dates for the week that began May 17, 2020 and ended Saturday, May 23rd, 2020. That's what you want to click on. If you click on the box to the far right that says restart my claim, then you will take the week away from yourself that you want to claim. So you always want to look for the dates to make sure that that's the week that you want to click on and start answering the questions. If you don't have a SAW account set up, that's fine. You can use our automated phone line system. And you can call that phone line system 24 hours, 7 days each week. And the number is the same, 1-800-318-6022. You just need to listen for the prompts. The little man will ask you, are you calling to submit a weekly claim for the week that began May 17th and ended Saturday, May 23rd? Then you would click 1 for yes, and then the little man would start asking you the questions. The first time that you use the phone system, the little man is going to ask you for your full Social Security number, and then he will tell you that you need to establish a 4-digit PIN, and he will say, enter 2 digits for the month that you were born. And then he will ask you to enter the 4 digits of the year that you were born. So it's important to be able to listen carefully to what they're asking. Okay, so if you don't want to apply for unemployment benefits until the first day that you are no longer working for the company. If you try to go in on Saturday, or if you try to go in on any time during the week that you were just laid off, the system's going to revert back to that week. So for instance, if I went in today and I applied for benefits, my claim is going to have a start date of Sunday, May 17th. But if I'm laid off this week and I wait until the week beginning May 24th, my claim is going to have a start date of May 24th. And that's the week that I do want to claim. And then on Sunday, May 31st, I'll be able to answer the questions and I won't have to report my earnings. Another thing that has come into play since COVID-19, you are not required to conduct a work search. As long as the governor's mandate is in force, you are not required to look for work. You're going to get that question each week that you submit a weekly claim, and it's okay to answer no while the governor's mandate is in place. But once that shelter in place has been lifted, you are then required to start conducting a work search and recording your contacts on a job search log. A job search log is going to be issued to you at the time that you apply. So you don't want to get rid of that. And then we're going to go down to the benefits are normally received 2 to 3 days after claiming. Under normal circumstances before COVID-19, the first week that you claim would be establishing your wait week. However, Governor Inslee has removed the wait week, which means that you will start receiving your unemployment benefit the first week that you start claiming. It is taking a little bit longer because so many people are applying, and we're also trying to get ahead of some of the fraudsters that have entered into the system. So it may take a little longer than 2 to 3 days to get your payment, but your payment will process and be issued to you. Next slide. So this slide is a little confusing because it says what income is reportable, and then underneath that it says when being laid off you do not need to report, and then it has all of these bullets. Well, I'm here to tell you that the first bullet If you're receiving severance pay, the week that you receive your severance pay, you do need to answer yes to that question. You only need to answer yes to the severance question once, but you need to answer yes to it the week that you receive the severance pay. So if I'm being laid off on this week and I receive my severance pay the week beginning May 24th, then at the end of that week on May 31st, I'm going to answer yes to the severance question if I am using my SAW account. And then when I do that, 3 other questions are going to populate for me. And those questions are asking you if you're still going to be attached to the company. So once you get through those 3 questions, you'll know that you've answered them right. If it does not ask you to put the amount of the severance pay that you're receiving in. If it asks for the amount, then you have not answered the questions correctly. And you need to stop what you're doing, go back out, and start over again. Severance pay is reportable, but it is not deductible. You do not need to report a cash out of accrued vacations, sick pay. We can accrue holiday pay, but you don't need to report vacation or sick pay if your employer is simply cashing you out. If, however, you decide that you're not going to wait until your June layoff and you want to start receiving your vacation pay up until that layoff date and apply for your unemployment benefits too, you would need to report the vacation pay because then that would become deductible. If you're going to receive a bonus, that goes in with the severance pay question. So that too would be reportable one time, but it is also not deductible from your claim. Now, every week you're going to be asked the question, other than Social Security, have you applied for or are you receiving retirement pay? So you can receive your full Social Security payment, and that is not reportable. That is not reportable. If you have applied for or if you're receiving pension pay from your current employer, then that is reportable. And you would have to answer yes one time to that question. If you have applied for or if you're receiving pension from the company, we're going to send you out a questionnaire. And that's why you only need to answer that question once. We never asked you anything about health insurance coverage. If your employer is choosing to cover you over a period of time, that's great, it's wonderful, but we do not need to be informed about that. Next slide. So how do I receive my benefits? If you ever applied for benefits prior to January of 2017, you were accustomed to receiving your benefits through a paper check. Well, we no longer issue paper checks. There's only one of 2 ways that you can receive your unemployment benefits. We're going to automatically send you a KeyBank debit card. We're going to automatically send you a KeyBank debit card once you submit that application. However, after you have applied for your unemployment benefits, you can go back into your claim online and you can set up direct deposit. I caution you, if you receive the KeyBank debit card, do not destroy it. Keep the KeyBank debit card in case your direct deposit information doesn't go through accurately, and because the wait week has been waived and you're going to start receiving your money right away, the money is undoubtedly going to go on to that KeyBank debit card. The KeyBank debit card is good for 3 years. So tuck it away in a drawer somewhere, even if you're going to set up direct deposit or if you find another job and you go back to work. We don't know when COVID is going to rear its ugly head again. We also don't know what kind of winter we're going to have. And you may need to use that card again before it's all over with. Remember, your claim is good for 1 year. And instead of 26 weeks, you've got 39 weeks. So in any case, if you set up direct deposit or if you use the KeyBank debit card, the payment is going to process electronically. What does that really mean? It means that it has to process through our system first. And then we send it to either your bank or to KeyBank. and it has to process through your bank system or process through Key Bank system before those funds are made available to you. You can go to our website and you'll see that the payment has been issued. And you'll wonder, well, no, you'll say it hasn't been issued. Remember, it has to process through 2 entities before the money becomes usable to you. So your claim is good for 1 year. If you apply in May of 2020, your claim is going to expire in May of 2021. So you can set the claim up now. Some of you may be thinking, you know, I don't want to use this right now. I think I'm going to go to Bora Bora for a while. And go to Bora Bora. But before you go to Bora Bora, set up your unemployment claim. Let it go to sleep. When you come back from Bora Bora, you can reopen the claim and start using it. We are traveling close to the end of this second quarter that we're in right now in 2020. This quarter is going to end at the end of June, but officially it will end for us on Saturday, July 4th. So you don't want the quarter to end and you have not set up your unemployment claim, because you could be jeopardizing your weekly benefit amount. And if you wanted to find out what your weekly benefit amount is, Joanne had alluded to that to you earlier. You can go to our website and enter in your information, and there's a calculator there and it will populate. You should know that the minimum amount that you can receive payment from the state of Washington each week is $188. The maximum amount that you can receive is $790 each week. In addition to that, you're going to get another $600 on top of whatever your normal weekly benefit amount is. That is the stimulus money that Congress and the President of the United States designed and signed into law. The $600 is going to be added to your normal weekly benefit amount up until the week ending July 25th, 2020. After July 25th, 2020, the $600 will no longer be issued to you unless Congress and the President decide to extend it. The other thing that you need to know is that there is an extension. The reason that you have the additional weeks on your claim is that once you set up the application, you need to go back in and apply for PEUC, Paul, Edward, Eunice, Clyde. So you're going to go in and you're going to apply for PEUC, not PUA, because you're not eligible for PUA. It's PEUC, Paul, Edward, Eunice, Clyde. And that's going to give you the additional 13 weeks that will be added to your claim. Any questions?
Linda, we got a question earlier about retirement income. And the question was, could people still be eligible for unemployment if they are receiving some income from a pension that was, that's paying them out some income currently?
Yes, and remember, if you're receiving a pension from, let's say, military or something that you started a couple of years ago, if it's not related to your current claim that you're going to be applying for, it's not reportable. So if you've got a pension from a previous employer that's not in your base year, you don't answer yes to the pension question. And even if you're applying for your pension through ALCOA or INTALCO, you still may be eligible to receive some unemployment benefits. It's just that you won't get, let's say you're eligible for the full $790, you would not get the full $790 because the employer cannot be charged twice.
Got it. And another question around that was, if that pension is paid out monthly, how should they report that income? As should they sort of figure out what it is each week and report a small portion of it each week, or would they just report it as a lump sum, or perhaps they don't report it at all?
No, you don't. You only answer yes to the pension question one time, and then we're going to send you out some documents to fill out. And hopefully you still have your award letter. We're going to ask for a copy of that. And then we will send you a letter telling you how or if the pension impacts your weekly benefit amount. So you only answer yes one time to severance. You only answer yes one time to a pension if you've applied for it.
Great, thank you. That was
You're
the
welcome.
only question I've gotten. So, we may have a new one. It's asking about the decision on the voluntary quit. So I don't know when you want to address that.
So what I've gotten in the email is that we're going to have an answer by tomorrow.
Oh.
Yee! So what's going to happen is that it's going to be sent in writing, and hopefully your employer will post that information to make it available to you. If not, Joanne can post it on her site, and I'm sure that you all wrote down her contact information, or will, so that you can be privy to that information. But that's what I've just gotten from policy, that we're going to have a written decision to you by tomorrow.
Okay, well, we continue to wait.
Excuse me, can I weigh in here, please?
Sure.
It's Bill. Hey, I've also been in contact with policy, and I want to. We've been shipping them more information as we go along, because it was in the language was incomplete. We sent to them, is why it's taking them so long. But I do concur with Linda that we should hear by tomorrow. But we're getting them more information. They've asked for more information.
Great, Bill. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Bill. So these are great additional contacts that you can use for tutorial sake, and I recommend that you use them. Would you, Joanne, also recommend it?
They're actually really good, I think, especially the SAW one.
Mm-hmm. The SAW one is excellent, especially if you're a little apprehensive about using the computer or thinking about setting up your SAW account. I do caution you, don't do what I did. Don't get so giddy that you set up the SAW account and then forget the username that you used and your PIN, because then you'll have a difficult time getting back into your SAW account. So write it down somewhere so that you can access it when you're ready to use it. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And at WorkSource, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we're not, we don't do UI claims. We don't get the education that the people who work at UI get. So we don't know the ins and outs of everything. But we have helped many people to access their SAW account and to get through to UI and to work with claims people. So if you have a question around that part of the process, we are well equipped to help you here at WorkSource. We can do a little bit of troubleshooting from a technical place. We can advise you when to call. We can help you to put together all of the information that you'll need to apply for your claim and set it up. So that part of it we can help you with, but just remember that we don't have access to that system. We can't see the status of your claim. We're not UI claims administrators. We're just support people for workers. Do you think that's a good sort of definition of the different roles, Linda?
Yes, it's excellent. And Joanne or Bill can, if you encounter problems, definitely reach out to them. They'll reach out to me, and we can solve it together. We are a team. We're not just doing this today. We work with each other all year long.
That's a good reminder. So Bill, I've been sent a question for you, if you don't mind. Someone has said, can you do Trade Act twice? So assuming that we get the petition approved or certified this time around, this person has received benefits under a different petition years ago and wonder if they could apply again for those benefits.
Yeah, that's a good question. It doesn't happen often, but the answer is yes, you can. And same with the dislocated worker pot of money. If we don't get Trade Act, you can reuse it. And I would highly encourage that.
Yeah, it's a very, very generous and comprehensive program from Trade Act. So we hope that that goes through. Are there any more questions for Linda or any of our other panelists around insurance, the Trade Act, the dislocated worker program, the retraining? Okay. Well, I'll answer the big question, which is how do you get started with all of this? And the best way to do that is to fill out an enrollment packet. And we have put these together. We'll be dropping them off at the Intalco HR department today. And so you can pick one up starting tomorrow. They contain forms that you can fill out and some pieces of information around those forms. And once we get you enrolled, then you will get a coordinator, and that coordinator will be literally the person who gets you access to everything else. So filling out that enrollment packet is a way to get started. If you're not quite sure about filling out that form yet, or you still have a lot of questions about which direction to go to, we will be setting up more events. We will be specifically setting up sessions on the whole retraining idea, where we'll have representatives from dislocated worker retraining, and Trade Act in an hour-long session that people can come and ask very detailed and granular questions about those programs, how they work together, the kinds of things that they can support. We'll be having a follow-up session on health insurance. We're planning one around budgeting and financial planning, and a couple of other topics out there that we're considering. So keep an eye on your email, and we will be informing you of all the future events as they're scheduled. Also, another way to get started, if you know what you want to do or you know what your specific question is, would be to contact one of the panelists that you've heard speak today. And many of them have shared their contact information in this slide deck, and when I send it out, you'll have that, or you may have made a note of it during the presentation. So don't be shy. These resources, and we, all of us, are here specifically to help people like you in this particular situation. We do work together on a daily basis, and can get you and put you in touch more quickly with people than you may be able to do on your own, even if you're the best Googler in the entire world. The internet is a great help to us, and I don't know how we would be getting through these days without it, frankly, but it sometimes gives you a distorted picture or doesn't send you down the right path. So don't be shy. Reach out and talk to some of the professionals who've worked in this area for a long time and can help get you to the right spot quicker. That's my encouragement to you. So we've gone through all of our material, and you've got a chance to meet all the people here today. If there are any more questions, oh, I see there is. How exciting. Oh, can we email the packet? Yes, we can. Karen asked if we could send the materials electronically, because HR isn't always open when all the workers start because of the shifts that are in place. We can do that. I hope you have the means to print, because these are heavy, large PDFs. But we can absolutely share those via email. Great. Are there any other questions or parting words from any of our panelists? And no words of wisdom? I think we're all out. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for your time in listening to us. Good luck on this new phase of your life. And thank you to all the panelists who spent their time with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye now.
Where's the off button? Bye, thank you. I have lots of questions, but I'll ask them after I read the paperwork.
Okay. Thanks. Bye now.